Sarah often reflected on her life, a tapestry woven with threads of contentment and ambition. Her marriage to Mark, a man whose charisma was as undeniable as his success, seemed the centerpiece. He was the kind of husband women envied, attentive and adoring, always ready with a supportive word or a grand gesture. Their home, a spacious haven filled with shared dreams and laughter, echoed with the promise of a beautiful future. Sarah, too, was a force in her own right, her career blossoming with the same vibrant energy she brought to every aspect of her life. Yet, beneath the polished surface, a faint, almost imperceptible discord occasionally emerged. Mark, at times, would recede into himself, a shadow of preoccupation briefly clouding his usually bright demeanor, a distance Sarah attributed to the pressures of his demanding work. She dismissed these fleeting moments, convinced they were simply the minor imperfections in an otherwise flawless existence. The unraveling began subtly, innocuously. One Tuesday afternoon, while tidying Mark's usually immaculate study, Sarah's hand brushed against something cold and metallic tucked deep within a forgotten drawer beneath a stack of old financial reports. Her fingers closed around it, a burner phone, cheap and anonymous, entirely unlike Mark's sleek, state-of-the-art devices. A sickening lurch twisted in her stomach. Infidelity. The word, sharp and unwelcome, sliced through her carefully constructed world. Her initial instinct was to confront him, to demand answers, but a deeper, more primal dread held her back. What if her suspicions were true? Could she bear it? Hesitation warred with a desperate need for truth. Her heart hammered against her ribs as she stared at the inert device, a small black rectangle holding potentially devastating secrets. With trembling fingers, she pressed the power button. The screen flickered to life, devoid of any familiar contacts or messages. No scandalous texts, no incriminating photos, just a single, unassuming icon. Notes. A wave of relief, fleeting and fragile, washed over her, quickly replaced by a chilling premonition. She tapped the icon. What unfolded before her eyes was worse than any lurid affair could ever be. Not declarations of love to another woman, but meticulous, bullet-pointed entries detailing schemes to systematically dismantle her career, her confidence, her very essence. There were notes about subtly manipulating financial data to undermine her professional projects, carefully planned emotional gaslighting tactics designed to make her question her own sanity, and even strategies for orchestrating whispers of public humiliation within their social circles. Each entry was dated, precise, a cold, calculated blueprint of betrayal. Sarah's breath hitched in her throat. Disbelief warred with a rising tide of horror. The man she loved, the man who shared her bed and her dreams, was a monster. She scrolled through the endless entries, each one a fresh stab to her heart. Flashbacks, once dismissed as unfortunate coincidences or bad luck, now coalesced into a sinister pattern. The lost promotion, the sudden withdrawal of a key investor from her passion project, the inexplicable self-doubt that had plagued her during crucial presentations. All of it, orchestrated by Mark. The realization was a physical blow, leaving her gasping for air. A terrifying paranoia began to creep into her mind, coiling around her thoughts. If Mark could meticulously plan such an elaborate campaign of destruction, what else was he capable of? Her entire reality, built on trust and affection, crumbled into dust. She felt exposed, vulnerable, questioning every kind word, every loving glance he had ever given her. The betrayal was so profound, so insidious, that it transcended the pain of simple infidelity. This was a psychological war, waged by the one person she had implicitly trusted. The final note on the phone sent a shiver down her spine, a chilling prophecy of her future. The ultimate goal, it read, is complete isolation. Make her utterly dependent. The perfect cage is invisible. Before we continue, subscribe to the channel and tell us in the comments where you are watching from. The chilling final note resonated deeply within Sarah, transforming her heartbreak into a cold, determined resolve. She knew she couldn't confront Mark yet. Without concrete proof, his charisma would undoubtedly twist her accusations into delusions. The burner phone became her secret weapon, a Pandora's box she now guarded fiercely. Every night, after Mark had fallen into a deep sleep, Sarah would meticulously scroll through the notes, taking screenshots, emailing them to a secure, anonymous account. She copied every date, every coded reference, every chilling detail. Her hands moved with a newfound precision, a quiet fury fueling her actions. During the day, she observed Mark with an unnerving clarity. The charming smiles, the seemingly innocent questions about her day, the subtle suggestions about her career choices, all now reeked of calculated manipulation. She noticed his almost imperceptible smirk when she expressed self-doubt, the way his eyes would briefly flicker with triumph when she spoke of a professional setback. He had become a stranger, a master puppeteer pulling her strings, and the realization gnawed at her. Among the myriad of notes, recurring phrases began to emerge: the project and Phase 3. These were not casual remarks. They were strategic markers in his grand scheme, hinting at a larger, more elaborate plan she had yet to fully grasp. As Sarah delved deeper, the true motivations behind Mark's insidious actions slowly surfaced. The notes revealed a profound, almost pathological jealousy of her intelligence and success. He saw her ambition not as a shared dream, but as a threat to his own fragile ego. His love, she now understood, was a twisted manifestation of his desire for absolute control, a need rooted in a past hinted at only vaguely in the notes, fragmented mentions of a controlling parent, a childhood overshadowed by impossible expectations. He hadn't wanted a partner, he had wanted a possession, someone to mold and direct. The man she had adored was a meticulously crafted facade, designed to imprison her in an invisible cage. The weight of past failures now pressed down on her, each one a stark reminder of Mark's deliberate sabotage. The lucrative contract that had mysteriously fallen through, the crucial collaboration that had inexplicably dissolved, the persistent self-doubt that had plagued her at critical junctures. All were his handiwork. The heartbreak was immense, but it was slowly giving way to a fierce, burning anger. She felt trapped, yet simultaneously empowered by the terrible truth. This knowledge, though devastating, was also her shield and her sword. Knowing she couldn't navigate this treacherous path alone, Sarah cautiously reached out to an old friend, a former detective named David. She met him in a nondescript coffee shop kilometers away from their usual haunts, her voice carefully modulated, her words vague but urgent. "I need advice, David," she began, her gaze darting around the room. Hypothetically, if someone needed to gather evidence against a very powerful, very manipulative person, how would they do it? Discreetly. David, sensing the gravity in her tone, listened intently. His detective instincts immediately piqued. He offered practical advice on digital forensics, chain of custody, and the paramount importance of absolute secrecy. "Trust no one, Sarah," he had warned, "and make sure your tracks are invisible." One evening, Sarah experienced a heart-stopping near exposure. She had left the burner phone charging on her bedside table, having fallen asleep while reviewing a particularly disturbing set of notes detailing Phase 3. Mark, returning from a late meeting, walked into the bedroom. Sarah jolted awake as she heard the distinct sound of his footsteps approaching. Her eyes flew open, fixing on the phone, its small charging light glowing faintly in the dim room. Panic seized her. With a surge of adrenaline, she faked a sudden coughing fit, drawing Mark's attention. As he rushed to her side, concern etched on his face, she subtly swept the phone off the table and under her pillow, her heart hammering against her ribs. He never noticed. The close call cemented her resolve. She had to move faster, become even more cunning. Later that week, hidden deep within a subfolder on the burner phone, Sarah found a cryptic note titled Final Acquisition. It spoke of a massive financial transaction, a leveraged buyout, and a final step to secure total dominance. The details were sparse, but the implication was terrifying. This wasn't just about her. The project was far grander. A sinister scheme that threatened to engulf her entire world. The ominous phrase "final acquisition" echoed in Sarah's mind, igniting a fierce urgency. The project, she now understood, was not merely about her personal subjugation. It was a vast, intricate web of corporate manipulation and financial takeover, with her professional life being just one, albeit crucial, piece of Mark's grand design. She realized with chilling clarity that Mark's meticulous planning was reaching its apex. Phase 3 was imminent, threatening to consume not just her career, but potentially the very foundations of her financial independence and future. The invisible cage was about to become an inescapable fortress. She had to act, and she had to act now, before his final, devastating move. Sarah orchestrated the confrontation with the precision of a seasoned strategist. She chose a quiet evening, after dinner, in the living room, a space that once symbolized their shared comfort, but now felt like a battleground. She began calmly, her voice steady despite the tempest raging within her. "Mark," she started, holding up her own phone, displaying the irrefutable evidence she had meticulously collected, screenshots of his notes, financial documents, coded messages. "We need to talk about the project and your final acquisition." Mark's initial reaction was a mask of bewildered innocence, a practiced performance she had once found endearing. "Sarah, what are you talking about? Are you feeling all right?" he questioned, his brows furrowed in feigned concern. But as she systematically scrolled through the damning evidence, his composure began to crack. His eyes, usually so controlled, flickered with raw panic. Denial quickly morphed into a furious rage, his voice rising, attempting to intimidate her, to dismiss her claims as irrational hysteria. "You're imagining things! This is insane!" he roared, his face contorted. Yet, beneath the anger, a chilling calm soon settled over him. He tried one last, desperate attempt at manipulation, his voice dropping to a smooth, persuasive tone. "Sarah, darling, you're overwrought. Let's work through this. We can fix anything together." But the spell was broken. Sarah saw only the puppeteer, his strings now severed. Having anticipated his reactions, Sarah had already set her final plan in motion. Armed with the burner phone and her extensive collection of evidence, she bypassed Mark's attempts to control the narrative. She had already forwarded the entire dossier to her former detective friend, David, who had, in turn, discreetly passed it to the appropriate financial regulatory bodies, and, more importantly, to key influential figures in their shared professional circles, people who respected Sarah's integrity and recognized Mark's ambition. The public exposure was swift and brutal. Mark's carefully constructed empire, built on a foundation of deceit and manipulation, began to crumble under the weight of his own meticulous notes. Legal action followed, swift and decisive, leaving him stripped of his assets, his reputation, and his freedom. The aftermath was a whirlwind of public scrutiny and emotional turmoil for Sarah. The betrayal cut deep, leaving scars that would take time to heal. Yet, amidst the chaos, she found an unexpected wellspring of support. Colleagues she had once considered mere acquaintances rallied around her, expressing admiration for her courage. Her old friend David remained a steadfast pillar of strength, guiding her through the legal complexities. Slowly, painstakingly, Sarah began the arduous journey of rebuilding. She sought therapy, confronting the emotional wounds Mark had inflicted and rediscovering her own intrinsic worth, untainted by his toxic influence. In the years that followed, Sarah not only reclaimed her career, but soared to unprecedented heights. She launched her own successful venture, channeling her experiences into building a company founded on transparency and ethical practices. She learned to trust again, not blindly, but with a newfound discernment, valuing genuine connection over superficial charm. The final scene finds Sarah standing on the balcony of her new office, overlooking a bustling city. The setting sun casts a golden glow, illuminating her face, etched with wisdom and resilience. She is no longer merely surviving, she is thriving, a testament to the indomitable human spirit. The invisible cage had shattered, leaving only an open